Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another episode of our tutorial series, CSS Animations. As always, I'm your host, Creative Builds. So today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make some simple animated card elements like the one you'll be seeing here. It comes from my website creativebuilds.io, which I just released in my last devlog, which you can check out in the top right corner here. Now let's get started. Head over to the HTML file, and our first step will be to create a div with a class of card. Inside the body, just type div space class equals card. Add two spans inside that div by putting a span element and then copy pasting that. These spans will be the actual shadows beneath our main content. So let's add where that content will go with another div with the class of card content. Do so by typing div space class equals and then card-content. Let's swap over to our CSS file and add some changes there. Okay, so first we're going to create a few variables to store our color values. Under the root part, type in -- background and then pick a color you want. I'm going to choose 2B, 24, 3B, so a nice dark navy blue color. And then do -- card and set a new color. This is going to be slightly lighter than our background color. I'm going to choose kind of like a lightish purple, which is going to be 423C and then 5F. Now these variables are used to store commonly used values like the background color. So instead of having to change the same value over and over again in multiple places, there's now only one place you have to change it. Next, let's put in the CSS for the class of card. Set the width to be 50% of the screen by typing width:50VW. That will always make sure our card is 50% of our screen width. And now we're going to use a CSS function called calc to always ensure our element scales proportionally on the height side by saying height: calc, and then parentheses, put in 50VW, divide that by 16, and then multiply that by 9. This will scale the height of the element relative to its width, ensuring that it maintains a 16:9 scaling ratio. This is not entirely needed, although I'm using it for this example. If you want to, you can use a set width and height. That's all up to you. Now let's add the CSS for the content of the card. The content will take the full width and height of its parent, so we put width 100% and then height 100%. If you want your card to have curved edges, add a border radius of 5 pixels, and then set the background to be the CSS variable -- card that you made earlier. This will just use the hex value that we set earlier in the root. That way we don't have to type it manually here. It's now time to add the style for the span elements that we made for the card. Set the position to be absolute, while the bottom and right will be set to -0.75 rem. The width and height will be 100%, and then the border radius will be 5 pixels. We'll use the same background as the card content with our CSS variable -- card, and then we'll set opacity to 0.33. We'll set the Z index to be -1, and that puts the span behind every other element on the page, so that way it acts more like how you would expect a shadow to work. Now let's add the animation, which has a name of flow. It has a duration of 1.5 seconds. It will ease in and out, alternate so that it can flow back and forth, and then set it to run forever with infinite. Then we just have to add the keyframes called flow so that we can actually animate the shadow. At 0%, add a transform, which will translate the shadow 0 pixels on the x-axis and then 0 pixels on the y-axis. To do that, let's just type in transform, translate, and then your parentheses, 0 pixels for x, and then 0 pixels for y. At 100%, we'll have a transform which will translate the shadow 5 pixels on both axes. This will move the shadow down and over to the right by 5 pixels. Do so by putting transform, translate, your parentheses, 5 pixels for x, and then 5 pixels for Y. Next up, for the first span under the div with a class of card, add an animation delay of 0.2 seconds. For the second span element, add bottom -1.5 rem and right -1.5 rem. This will make the second element become more of a second shadow instead of just overlapping with the first one. Feel free to add any extra content inside the card that you want, as long as you add the content inside of the card-content element. Save everything we've done so far. If you're using codesandbox.io, you'll be able to see the changes on the right-hand side as soon as you save the file. If you see the element isn't flowing correctly like how it is here, there will be a link to the source code in the description down below where you compare what you did differently. That's going to do it for today, and to wrap up what we did, we made some animated card elements to add a modern take on an old design. Thank you all for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Stay tuned for more, and don't forget to join our community by subscribing or joining the Discord down below. Until the next episode, keep learning, keep coding. New tutorials come out 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Mondays, with devlogs same time on Friday.